Hey guys, welcome back. Mitch here. I just wanted to make this quick little video showing you how you can automate tasks using OpenAI and ChatGPT. So you're going to need a make.com account for this, and they got a pretty generous free tier, and then the next tier up's not that expensive either. But then if you come in, make a scenario, type in OpenAI, and then you're going to have all these different options. Now, watch for batch completion. We're not going to go into that today. That's basically just to manage how many requests that you're sending to ChatGPT, because if you send too many, it's going to go a bit funny on you. Message assistant, if you've already created a custom GPT or have a custom assistant, you can actually send it a message through this. Chat completions, this will be 90% of what you use, and that's just the standard ChatGPT. Give it a prompt, give it an input, and it provides an answer. Transform text to structured data. So this would be something like you want it to output JSON, so you can have maybe multiple outputs, and it might be something like, all right, I want you to write me an email, and I want you to provide me with the email address, the subject line, and the body of the email, and that's 3 different things, and then you can put those different items in different locations. Analyze image, pretty self-explanatory. Generate image, edit an image, etc., etc., etc. Moderation, translation. Add files to vector store, and how this works is, or upload file, is if you have one of these message assistants or a custom GPT, you can actually upload files to it from make.com. Batching, you don't need to go through that. But let's just show you guys how to connect ChatGPT first. Now I've already connected, but if you want to connect again, you just need your API key, and you get that by going to openai.com, come over to dashboard and down to API keys, and then create a new key. Get that key, paste it in there, and you're ready to go. But I'm already set up, so I'm gonna leave it like that. When you're selecting your models, basically, if you're going to be using O1, and I don't think they've released O3 up here yet, these are all going to be pretty expensive. I recommend just sticking with GPT-4o or GPT-4o mini. If you go below that to one of the 3.5s, your output's probably not going to be that great, but it can still be used for simpler tasks. And it will be a lot cheaper. And as I was saying, if you go up to these ones, you're going to get better responses, but the price is definitely going to go up, and GPT-4o is still the standard. So I'm just going to go 4o here. Come down here, you're going to have 3 different options. You got user, assistant, and developer/system. Think of the developer/system is just the default rules for the agent. Assistant is your prompt for what you want it to do, and user is your input. And don't stress about these two too much. They can basically be swapped out for each other. And, if you're not too sure, just stick with assistant and you'll be fine. So we got assistant, and then we got user for user input. But what's something we could use this for? One example I've got here is up in the top here, I got an example order data with order IDs, etc. So maybe a person has emailed an AI assistant or sent an email that's come in asking about where their order is. You can take an order ID out of that and do a search and write an email and respond to them. So let's just set up a little example here. We'll go email, watch for emails. OpenAI, and Google Sheets. And how this would work is email would come in, you get ChatGPT to extract the order ID, and then from there you would do a search on it. Generally not a cell search, but you get the idea, and you'd be able to get results But when you're doing these kind of tasks, what you want to do is you want to be able to categorize problems, and then depending on that categorization, then execute different steps. And this is how I build chatbots, and this is how a lot of these automations are created, is you have input coming from somewhere, which usually has multiple inputs. You categorize it into a workflow, and then depending on the workflow, you do different tasks. And one example of this might be, so I got this boat brokerage example website. And down here, I got a router prompt generator. Go, create me a router prompt for this website. Now, this router prompt is designed for an AI assistant, but you can just as easily use it for emails or any other tasks you want to categorize. You're an AI assistant tasked with accurately categorizing user queries. Carefully review categories. Boat sales inquiry. Questions and requests related to purchasing boats, including queries about listings, availability. Selling or assistance, boat charter services, after sale support. And what it's going to do is it's going to output this category. And how you'd split it up is you'd come over here, say I gave that prompt to ChatGPT. Actually, let's get rid of this. Come over here, I'll go to control flows, router. You come up here, create a bunch of routes, and then you're going to click on this bit in between the link. And what you want to do is you go, if ChatGPT results equals this category, then go to this flow. And for the example user ID, it might be, does this email contain a user ID? If so, if true, tell ChatGPT to output true, false, or other for maybe different category or for something that's unrelated to this. And then if it does have a user ID, you'll then do a search on Google Sheets or CRM or whatever you have, get that, write an email, respond. Or if there's no user ID, maybe you order ID, maybe you request it from them, or you can do a search on their email and then you send them an email with their order details. But just as a side note, when you do categorize these things, you will tend to notice that once you've categorized queries, they still tend to fall into two separate buckets again. And that's specific questions and broad questions. An example of this might be, say someone has a question about a product, that maybe they send you an email and say, asking about this specific product. You can do the same thing, extract that exact product and do a search on that product. But then you're also going to get queries being like, oh, do you have some other things that are similar to this thing that they might have been talking about before? And if you only have the last message provided to it or provide the OpenAI, it's not going to know what's going on. So you're going to have to split these things again and do all right, here's a specific query, here's a non-specific query. And that's kind of what's happening here with the order ID. So just something to keep in mind. But what else can you do with this? Another thing might be content generation. So another example would be, let's get rid of this. Maybe you have a real estate business and you have people fill out a form. So I've got Google Forms here. Maybe someone fills out a Google form. Watch for responses. And then you're going to have all these details that you have to process and then create listings for. So say you got a Google form comes in and then you prompt chain a bunch of OpenAI requests like this. So maybe one's writing listings for this website, maybe one's generating contracts, maybe one's coming up with a plan. And then at the end, you send it to your CRM or Google Sheets or whatever database you're using. And that way, every time someone submits a new form, you're automatically going to get this. One other thing you could do with content generation is there's websites like this one's quite good, Appify, which scrapes information from things like TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. And what you can do is you can set it to watch for new posts from specific accounts. And then maybe at the end of the week, you get it to scrape all the latest posts created by these accounts. And then you get these ChatGPT, do a few chains like this, come up with a few, summarize a few posts, create a few different variations or ideas. And then at the end of the week, you have a list of different posts and things you can do on different accounts with all the captions and things already written for yourself. But just to take a step back for a minute, I'll just go through a couple of these sort of prompt GPTs, which I'll leave in the description below. Now, this one's obviously for a boat brokerage example, but let's go back to my order ID example. Can you write me a router prompt that checks if an email contains an order ID or not? It must output true or false. And hopefully it doesn't get too mixed up with my other prompt. You're an AI assistant tasked with determining whether an email contains an order ID or not. So a little bit different to this one. Usually I try to get it to structure it in this way so you can clearly see output this, output that, and then you can just copy that and paste that into your router. Another little prompt generator I have down here is an AI agent. Now this is designed for AI assistants and website chatbots, but it can be adjusted to things like emails. So I'll just go through how this is structured so you guys can get some good responses from your prompts. So how this is structured, we got your purpose, company profile, and audience. And the reasons it's structured like this is purpose is what is it doing? Company profile is what perspective is it speaking from? And audience, who is it speaking to? And generally, if you have at least those three things in there, you're going to be coming out with some pretty decent answers. And then down here, it's got some guidelines on just to fine tune it a bit further. So this is designed for a website chat assistant, but it can definitely be adjusted. And let's just do that. Can you adjust this to respond to emails? Purpose, company profile, audience, and email focus areas. So it's probably getting a little bit longer than what I'd like, because remember, when you're giving it too much information, you might be providing additional details like order details and things like that to the GPT as well. And if you're getting a little bit too overboard, like this one's starting to get, it can start to skip things. But I'll just stick with this little guidelines here for the moment and just show you why I have a few things in here doing this. Clarity and simplicity, respond in clear, simple conversational style, use short, direct sentences without overly formal or complex words. And like I was saying, this is designed for a chatbot because if you think whenever you've used ChatGPT, it does have a tendency to use very over-the-top elaborate words, and this kind of just gets it out of that and makes it a little bit more conversational. Tone, keep it warm, friendly, approachable. Concise, stick to 1 to 3 sentences. Another thing that's for chatbots more than emails. First person, use we and our. Now this is, if you don't have this in here, it's going to always refer back to your business as if it's talking from a third person and not have anything to do with the business or not from the business. So it's important to have that in there. Stay on topic, politely redirect off-topic queries. Factual accuracy, align all responses with the information provided. So now down here, you can either provide information straight into the prompt down here, or like I was saying before, if you have a custom GPT that you've uploaded a bunch of documents to, it can pull from those. But I'll leave these two prompt generators down in the description just so you guys can get a sense of how to structure these or play around and tweak them yourselves. But that's probably enough for this video. I just want to make a quick little walkthrough video and show you guys how you can actually automate different problems and how you can approach them and go after them. But if you like this video, give us a like, help us out, and I'll leave those GPT links in the description.